Good morning, children. We are once again in the same chapter, that is chapter 9, coordination compounds. In this part of the chapter, we are going to discuss about isomerism. In this part of the chapter, we are going to discuss isomerism in coordination compounds. What are the different isomerism we encounter in coordination compound? That is the topic that we are going to discuss today. Now the question comes, what is isomerism, or what do you mean by the term isomerism? So see, isomerism means the phenomenon in which two or more compounds they exist the they exhibits the same chemical formula, but they have different structural formula. So the idea of isomerism is that compounds having the same chemical formula but different structure. That is, their chemical formulas might be identical, but their structural formulas are different. Okay, that is, their chemical formulas are identical, but their structure, the chemical formula is identical, but the structural formula is different. These are called as isomers. Now, among these isomers, we have the types of isomerism. What are the different types of isomerism? Types are of two types, that is structural isomerism, and the next one is stereoisomerism. Now the question comes, what are structural isomers? What are structural isomers? So see, structural isomers are those isomers which show, see, the structural isomers are those isomers which actually show difference in their structure. They are generally of four types, that is linkage isomerism, solvate isomerism, ionization isomerism, and that of coordinate isomerism. So they are generally of four types, and we will discuss each of these types in details. We will discuss each of these types in details. The first one is called as linkage isomerism. What is the meaning of linkage isomerism? Linkage isomerism implies that in this type of isomerism it is shown by the coordination compounds having ambidentate ligands. What is the meaning of ambidentate ligands? Ambidentate ligands means those ligands which can coordinate by two different sites. They can coordinate by two different atoms. That is called as ambidentate ligand. For example, you see we have this coordination compound cobalt. The central metal ion here is cobalt, that is bounded with 5 ammonia, 1 nitro and Cl. So this is the first compound. It is actually showing this type of, that is the linkage isomerism with another compound. There you see the formula is same, that here also we have central metal ion is cobalt, but here see ammonia is also 5, but here the nitro group is coordinated with the oxygen atom to the central metal ion, but in this one it is coordinated with the nitrogen atom. See, nitro group is coordinated in the first compound. Nitro group is coordinated in the first compound with nitrogen. In the second compound, the same nitro group is ligated or coordinated by the oxygen atom. See, the Cl and the Cl is same. So when we see the chemical formula is same, but the linkage with the central metal ion is different, and that's why it is called as linkage isomerism. Okay, so here see the cobalt is having 3 oxidation number, and it has chloride as well as pentamine, but in one case it is ligated with the nitro atom, in the other case it ligated with that of the oxygen atom. So that was about our linkage isomerism. After that, we have the next type of isomerism, that is called as solvate isomerism. Now, what is solvate isomerism? As you could see, solvate isomerism, or it has another name, that is called hydrated isomerism. This is also known as hydrated isomerism. In this isomerism, what we encounter, that water is taken as a solvent. As water is taken as a solvent, it is called as solvate isomerism. It has different number of molecules in the coordination sphere. different type of molecules in the coordination sphere. As you could see, here we have cobalt. Cobalt is bonded with how many water? 6 water and 3 Cl3. But in the other one, what we see, water is cobalt is ligated with 4 hydrogen, 2 Cl2 and 1 Cl outside. So here 1 Cl, 2 of the Cl which was outside the coordination sphere, now 2 of the Cl has entered the coordination sphere and 2 molecules of water was there. These 2 molecules of water is acting as water of crystallization. These 2 molecules of water is acting as a water of crystallization. So that is example of a solvate isomerism. So that is an example of a solvate isomerism. So what we see in a solvate isomerism, in case of solvate isomerism, we just see that in this case the compound is coordinated with a different way of coordination. What is that coordination? That coordination is that it is being coordinated in a different form of coordination, and that is called as solvate coordination. That is called as solvate coordination. Is this part now clear? After that we have next type of isomerism, and that is called as ionization isomerism. What is ionization isomerism? This isomerism arises due to the exchange of ionizable with anionic ligands. Ionizable with the anionic ligands, that is we have cobalt bounded with 5 ammonia Br2 and sulfate over here. Another we have this same cobalt with the sulfate, which was now the primary ionization one. The counter ion actually enters into the coordination sphere. As a result, we have this type of a structure. That is example of a ionization isomerism. That is example of a ionization isomerism. After that we have the coordination isomerism. What is a coordination isomerism? This type of isomerism arises from the interchange of ligands between the cationic and anionic complex. So just remember, in this type of coordination compounds which we encounter over here, both the cation as well as the anion, they actually exist in the coordination sphere. So as you could just see the first example, we have chromium. Chromium is bounded with how many ammonia? Chromium is bounded with 6 of the ammonia. Okay, chromium is bounded with 6 of this ammonia, and each of these 6 ammonia in this case of chromium, what we could see, that each of these 6 ammonia is there, and we have cobalt in the other part and 6 cyanide. But here if it takes place in such a way that there is an exchange between this coordination sphere, that is ammonia 6 comes over here and cobalt comes over here, that is example of coordination isomerism. That is example of coordination isomerism. These two are the separate examples of coordination isomerism. After that, the next type of isomerism we encounter over here is stereoisomerism. Now what is stereoisomerism? This type of isomerism arises because of the different spatial arrangement. This type of isomerism arises because of the different spatial arrangement. And what are the spatial arrangement? We can just see that the spatial arrangement over here is how these ligands are ligated in a way. The first one is geometrical isomerism. It arises in heteroleptic complexes. What is a heteroleptic complex? Heteroleptic complexes means those complexes in which central metal ion is bounded with ligands, and which ligands are actually of different type, that is called heterolytic complexes. Okay, and due to the difference in the geometrical arrangement of the ligands, so they are again of two types, that is tetrahedral complexes which do not show geometrical isomerism, and the other is called the square planar complexes. Now what is a square planar complexes? See the square planar complexes are of the formula mx2l2, where x and l are unidentate ligands. And as the name tells you, square planar, that means all the ligands they exist in the same, all these ligands they exist in the same plane. As they exist in the same plane, so they will exhibit geometrical isomerism. If the two X ligands may be arranged adjacent to each other, then that is called cis, and if they arrange opposite to each other, that is called as trans. So again, the square planar is of two types, cis and trans. If the similar ligands are located at the same time, same direction, it is called as cis. See, if similar ligands are located at the same side, it is called as cis. If they are on the opposite side, it is called as trans. So these ligands are of two types, one is called the cis, other is called that of the trans. So that was about the geometrical isomerism. So geometrical isomerism arises in heteroleptic complexes. What is heteroleptic complexes? Heteroleptic complexes are those complexes in which we have different types of ligands attached to the central metal ion. Now we have the next, under that we have two types, that is tetrahedral complexes and square planar. Now we have the next one is optical isomerism. See, optical isomers arises because of, just remember children, optical isomers, they are those isomers which are non-superimposable mirror images. They are actually non-superimposable mirror images. So just remember, optical isomerism arises when we see that isomers which are non-superimposable mirror images. These are the complexes which have the chiral structure. These are the complexes which have chiral structure, arises when mirror images cannot be superimposed on one another. It arises when the mirror images are not superimposed on one another. Okay, these mirror images are called as enantiomers. So we should know the optical isomers arises when these mirror images are not superimposable. One is not superimposed on that of the other. Okay, these are the examples of optical isomerism. These mirror images are called as enantiomers, and the two forms are called dextro and levo. If the rotation is towards the right, it is called dextro. If the rotation is towards the left, it is called as levo. See, tetrahedral complexes with the formula MAB2 show optical isomerism, and octahedral complexes they exhibit this type of optical isomerism. Is this part now clear? So that was about the optical isomerism. Okay, now we would be going to discuss valence bond theory. What is valence bond theory? According to this theory, the metal atoms or ions under the influence of ligands can undergo n-1d ns, np, ns or np and nd orbitals for hybridization to yield a set of equivalent orbitals of definite geometry, such as octahedral, tetrahedral and square planar. So just remember, as the name suggests, valence bond theory, the metal atom or the central metal ion under the influence of ligands can undergo this type of changes. Now when they undergo this type of changes, it is called as the valence bond theory. Okay, under this valence bond theory, actually because of this type of formation, they can form this type of definite hybrid orbitals. These hybrid orbitals are allowed to overlap with ligand orbital, and thus they can donate the electron pair for bonding. Later on, when we will study it, we will see that when these ligands are being attached to the central metal ion, they form hybridized orbitals. What is a hybridized orbitals? That is when orbitals mix up together and they form resultant orbital, that is called as hybrid orbital. So after that we have the crystal field theory. So just remember, under the influence of hybrid orbitals, it is able to actually form what? Different sets of orbitals. Okay, it is able to form this type of different sets of orbitals. Okay, so the next theory we have is the crystal field theory. Now what is called the crystal field theory? In the crystal field theory, it assumes that ligands to be point charges. According to this theory, ligands are just like the point charges, and as they have this type of point charges, what we see, as they have this type of point charges, what we see, they had certain electrostatic force of attraction between the ligands and the metal ions. So they have different types of electrostatic attraction So the crystal field splitting in octahedral coordination complexes is being represented by this diagram. See, in this diagram there are 5 sets of d orbitals, dxy, dyz, dzx, dx square minus y square, and dz square. So this is the metal, and what we know that in coordination complexes, central metal atom is a transition metal. Now when this transition metal, they actually average energy of the d orbital is actually a spherical crystal field, and there is a splitting. In this, what we see, dxy, dyz, dzx, they form energy much lower, and dx square and dz square, they actually move up. Accordingly, what we see that here the energy share is 2/5, and here it is 3/5. So there is the average energy of the d orbitals, and here it is the splitting of the orbitals of the octahedral crystal. There is a splitting of the orbitals of the octahedral crystal. According to this theory, what you observe, this type of splitting takes place. So it is called as crystal field splitting in octahedral complexes. But just remember, if the same type of splitting, if the same type of splitting takes place, if the same type of splitting takes place in tetrahedral complexes, in that case, what we see in case of tetrahedral complexes, here it is the same energy profile we have, and we have these orbitals that actually splits up the energy, but here the dxy, d, so the T2g are on the top and eg is at the bottom. So average energy of the crystal is a spherical crystal field, and splitting of d orbitals in tetrahedral crystal field takes place like this. After that we have the metal carbonyls. We have the metal carbonyls. Now the question is, what are metal carbonyls? Metal carbonyls are the homoelectric complexes in which we see that carbon monoxide acts as a ligand. Bonding in metal carbonyls, metal carbon atom, the metal carbon atom actually exists in this form. Okay, so here we could just see that the metal carbonyls are the homoelectric complexes in which the metal carbon monoxide is attached with the ligand. So the metal carbon bond in metal carbonyls possesses both the S and the P characteristics. It possesses both the S and the P characteristics, and the MC bond is formed by the donation of a lone pair of electrons. So the MC bond is formed by the donation of a pair of electron from the field metal ion into the vacant antibonding orbital, and metal to ligand bonding creates a synergic effect. So that was about the metal carbons. After that, we are going to discuss importance and applications of coordination compounds. See, coordination compounds are used in many qualitative as well as quantitative analysis. Next is hardness of water is estimated by simple titration with sodium EDTA complex. Purification of metal can be achieved through the formation of subsequent decomposition of the coordination compounds. And next one is they have great importance in the biological system. See, hemoglobin or chlorophyll, both of them are metal complexes. They are used as catalysts for many of the industrial processes. In medicinal chemistry, there is also growing interest in the chelating theory. So these are some of the important points we encounter about, or these are the importance of our application of coordination compounds, that is they are used in these various fields in qualitative, quantitative and analysis, estimation of hardness of water, purification of metal. They are great important biological system, and they are also used as catalysts by many industrial processes. Okay children, that was all for the day. Thank you.